In today's Leeds news, Redfern prays for James, more interest in striker, Meslier January interest, McAtee development, and Wober struggles. Morning folks, Jay here at The View on Wednesday morning the 11th of December with your Leeds United news. A really good performance from Leeds United last night to go back to the top of the league at least until tonight, and hopefully a little bit longer than that. Our 8th home win in a row, and some big performances last night in what was a very good result for Leeds United, and a good performance against a good side, it should be said as well. There will be a match day review later on tonight, 7 p.m. tonight, live on the channel. You can check that out later on. But we've got a little bit of news to get stuck into, and we're going to start off with just leaning back into last night's game just a little bit to hear about some praise for Daniel James, and another impressive performance from Dan James last night, a goal and an assist to his name, and he finally has a song. After all, he's here, he's there. But outside of all of that, and outside of picking up Sky Sports Man of the Match last night, he has come in for praise from the national media, as well as former Leeds United manager Neil Redfern. Daniel Farke also found time last night to praise the Welsh winger, who produced some very big moments last night and was a constant threat, as I said, scoring and assisting in his 100th game for the club. Neil Redfern believes that Daniel James is probably the best winger in the division right now. And speaking to BBC Radio Leeds, he said the following: "The thing about Dan James for me, I think he is a quality player. He should be playing the division above, and hopefully that's where Leeds are going. He times his runs well. He knows the positions to pick up. He's aware of space in front and in behind. He's a clever player. He's an international player. And he's played against some of the best in the world." Redfern went on to talk about how he's a key player for Leeds United, especially in these kind of games where towards the end of the game a little bit of space can start to open up, and that's when he really comes into his own. And his finishing, his assists have all started to get better. His end product from what it was a couple of years ago has massively improved, and he is probably one of the most underrated players at the club and doesn't always get the praise that he deserved. Even during his bad times, he always worked hard for Leeds United and has always been, for me, a very much a side before self player. But fantastic, 4 goals, 2 assists in 10 starts for Leeds so far this season, 14 games in total for the player. But a really impressive performance last night, and a nice little celebration of what a finish for the goal that he did get after just missing a similar situation before that. But and a lovely assist from Joel Pirou on that, and a nice smashing tackle from Sam Byram in the midfield, leading to all of that, which we love to see. Moving on to some interest in a Leeds United striker, and we all know that there is interest in Joe Gelhardt coming into the January transfer window. There was no Joffrey on the bench again last night for Leeds United, which is starting to tie into this move. Glasgow Rangers are the team that are consistently named with being interested in the player, and the leading club in making a move for the player once the January window opens next month. But now, according to Football League World, another Rangers have entered the picture and are interested in bringing the player in on loan in January, after Leeds' position on selling the player has softened to a loan potentially happening as an alternative. According to Football League World, Rangers, Plymouth, Preston, Stoke and now Queen's Park Rangers are all interested in a January loan move for Joe Gelhardt, as well as 2 unnamed Belgian sides, which could be a very good move for him, seeing how well Max Dean has done swapping the UK for Central Europe, and he's having a fantastic time over there into double figures and playing European football. And maybe it's something that Joe Gelhardt needs to look at just for himself. Joffrey, as I said, hasn't been in the Leeds matchday squad for a while now, and if you look at it, it goes back as far as the draw against Bristol City. That's an incredibly long amount of time for the player to be missing out of the squad. However, Daniel Farke has praised Joe Gelhardt's attitude during this period, saying that he's been nothing but professional, is working hard, is doing what he needs to do to try and get in the manager's mind about a starting position. But there's huge amount of competition for striker, 10 and wide players, and Joffrey has found himself now out of the squad completely, and the fact that he's not been in the squad since Bristol and all of the noise surrounding the player right now suggests to me that that decision about Joe Gelhardt's future has already been made at the club, and he will likely move away from Leeds United in January. There are a ton of clubs interested in him, and I like Joe Gelhardt. I think most Leeds fans want to see Joe Gelhardt have a career and go on and do something with himself. And getting out from Leeds at the moment and going and playing football is probably the best thing for him to do. And I would love to see him, just for himself, go and have a good time playing football. Sam Greenwood's having a great season at Preston. Max Dean went off to Central Europe with Ghent and he's having a fantastic season. And maybe Joffrey just needs to follow suit now and go and play some football. Another player that could be on his way out, or at least is rumoured right now to have interest in him in January, is Meslier. And we move into some pinch of salt territory with this one, as yesterday afternoon Team Talk released a story claiming that there is interest in a move for Meslier this January. According to Team Talk, Leeds are unlikely to want to sell the player in the January transfer window, but French side Rennes are said to be keen to test Leeds' resolve on this one. Daniel Farkas sees Meslier as a key player and he moved him into the vice captain role this season, which shows his importance, and he's had some good and not so good moments this season. His mistake against Sunderland cost Leeds 3 points in a massive game for the club at that point, but 2 huge saves last night for Leeds arguably kept Leeds in the game and allowed Leeds to go on and get a second and a third and win the game last night. His contract expires in the summer of 2026, and Rennes are said to be considering making a move for the player as early as January to replace their aging goalkeeper Steve Mandanda, who turns 40 years of age this month. Team Talk sources state that Leeds do not want to lose the 24-year-old goalkeeper in January, more so from a point of view that it's a bad window to try and replace a first-choice goalkeeper with another first-choice goalkeeper. Caradarlo is a very good deputy, but wouldn't have the footwork and ability on the ground that Leeds would look for in this side as a number one, so they would need to go out and try and sign a keeper at a bad time in the year. Rennes have hopes of playing European football this season, and they would want to get their finger out if they want to do that. They're sitting currently in mid-table in the French league, but they have got aspirations of European football that they could offer to Meslier, as well as bringing him back to France and possibly getting him closer to the French national side, which is his goal. If Leeds do go up though, Team Talk sources are claiming that Leeds could sell Meslier for a cut price deal, and they understand that Leeds may be looking to sign a new goalkeeper in the event that they do get promoted at the end of this season. So it might not be an exit for Meslier in January, but it could be an exit for the keeper come the summer, and Leeds could now, according to Team Talk, be looking at replacements for him coming into that time of the year. One player that Leeds have been linked with repeatedly over the course of the last few months is James McAtee, and there's been a bit of a development on his availability over the last few days. According to the Boot Room, they claim that Manchester City will now allow James McAtee to exit the club in January on loan, and claim that Leeds are still said to be interested in a move for the player. However, there is a slight hiccup in this. We know West Ham have an interest in James McAtee as well, and Pep Guardiola is a fan of Lucas Paqueta at West Ham. We've talked about a very obvious swap deal being done there before, but now, according to the Boot Room, Bayer Leverkusen's Florian Wirtz is high on Manchester City's wanted list this January, and they might use James McAtee as part of what is labelled to be an £87 million deal to bring Wirtz to the club. Leeds have been very public about their interest in James McAtee. Angus Kinnear at the start of the season talking about it in the Square Ball meeting with him, and if they decide to go down the route of bringing in Florian Wirtz, any kind of a deal for Leeds to bring McAtee in could be off the table completely. However, should Bayer Leverkusen decide not to sell Florian Wirtz in January, Leeds could be back in the mix to bring the player in and add additional attacking power to push Leeds on to the hopeful promotion at the end of this season. And then moving into the final story of the day, and this relates to Max Wober's struggles since returning to Leeds United. And we haven't heard a huge amount from Max Wober since he has come back to Leeds. And the Austrian started his first game for Leeds United since his last start on the final day of the season, where Leeds United were relegated to the Premier League and returned to the Championship. But he did well last night. He was very involved. He wasn't supposed to be as attacking as Junior Firpo, but spent the bulk of his time on the opposition corner flag, which was interesting to see. But Wober was on the score sheet at the weekend, as well as technically on the score sheet again last night, albeit at the wrong end. But he did speak to Sky before the game about his return to the club and the struggles he's had since he came back. After scoring at the weekend, he said the following: "It was really good feeling, a lot of relief, struggling a lot this season, but finally getting some minutes and scoring feels amazing." It's still not a huge amount of information from the player, but it's the closest thing we've got to any kind of a Leeds interview on the player. He wasn't expected to play as much of the game last night as he did. Farkas said he wasn't capable of playing 90 minutes just yet, despite playing 90 minutes for Austria during the international break. But he did play 90 minutes last night, and he kept Ben Doak very quiet in what had been predicted to be an easy night at the office for Ben Doak, who's been in fantastic form this season. And he got little to no joy out of Max Weber at all last night, and he handled them with relative ease. Wober arguably could have had an assist last night as well. These fizzing crosses that he sends in early were very, very dangerous, and he put a couple right across the 6-yard line that nobody got on the end of, which was a theme last night. There was plenty of balls that fizzed across the 6-yard line that no one got on the end of, and the Leeds attackers should be keeping an eye on that one as well. But it's not a full redemption arc just yet for Max Weber. One swallow doesn't make a spring, and there will be a lot more work for Max to do before he gets to that. But he is contributing to what Leeds need right now. He is being involved in goals. He's defended quite well, and with Junior Firpo out until the new year and Isaac Schmidt not fully fit and ready to go just yet, Max Weber has an opportunity to make that left back position his own now coming into the January window, and then maybe Leeds have a decision to make about Junior Firpo's future when we get to that stage. And we talked about Junior Firpo's situation this week and 2 weeks ago as well. Folks, that'll be it for me today. Massive thank you as always for watching and supporting the channel. I'll be back tonight at 7 p.m. for the review of the game. You can check that out, and then back tomorrow morning for more Leeds news as we head into the weekend and another game of football for Leeds United. Have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you soon. See ya.